Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The Galactic Council laughed, but the human proved them all wrong. Order in the Grand Chamber. Chancellor Kick banged his seven-fingered appendage against the luminescent podium. Though his mandibles twitched with barely suppressed laughter, we must maintain decorum. Oh, by the seven moons of Zor, this was going to be the most entertaining council session in centuries. I, narrator Borks Vex, chief archivist of the Galactic Council records, had witnessed 387 years of political debates, interspecies negotiations, and war declarations, but never had I seen the entire council chamber erupt in such undignified hysteria. "Play the transmission again," shouted Representative Qua from the Andromeda sector, her tentacles coiling and uncoiling in delight. "I want to see the human's face when he realizes." Chancellor Kick nodded to the holographic technician, a skinny Porian with 17 eyes who was also chuckling so hard that 3 of his eyes had tied themselves into knots. The central projector flickered to life, displaying the now infamous communication between King Vorex of the Tauran Empire and the human Gerald Matthews. Human Gerald. King Vorex's massive horned head filled the display, his booming voice causing several council members to flinch despite having watched this recording 14 times already. "For saving my life during the Plus ambush, I grant you my most precious treasure." The human, such a small, fragile-looking creature with only 2 arms and laughably insufficient natural armor, smiled with obvious pride, his pinkish face contorted into what their species considered an expression of gratitude. "Your Majesty, I'm deeply honored," Gerald replied, bowing awkwardly. Yes, continued King Vorex, waving his armored tail dismissively. "As reward, you shall become legal guardian to my daughter, Princess Lorna." The human's expression froze, his mouth hung open, his peculiar rounded eyes widened to an almost anatomically impossible degree. What?" Gerald stammered. "The princess will arrive at your Earth dwelling within 1 lunar cycle. All hail her new guardian." The transmission cut off abruptly. The council chamber exploded into fresh peals of laughter. Representative Kazek of the Silicon Collective actually fell off his hovering platform, his crystalline body tinkling musically as he rolled across the floor. "Did you see his face?" howled Ambassador JX, slapping her 4 knees simultaneously. "These humans think they understand galactic politics. They have no idea." Chancellor Kick finally composed himself enough to address the chamber. "Fellow sentients, while this human's predicament provides unprecedented entertainment, we must consider the official implications. Princess Lorna is 17th in line to the Tauran throne." And, added senior diplomat Nexer, wiping viscous tears from his compound eyes, "she has been expelled from 23 royal academies across 3 galaxies. Her last tutor was found catatonic in a meditation chamber, chanting no more questions for 6 straight cycles." I recorded diligently as the laughter continued. This poor, clueless human had saved King Vorex during a pirate attack, not realizing that Tauran culture considered life debts to be paid through the transfer of one's most troublesome responsibility. And Princess Lorna was, without question, the most troublesome responsibility in the known universe. "Let it be noted," declared Chancellor Kick with mock solemnity, "that the human Gerald Matthews now holds diplomatic status as guardian to Tauran royalty. All communications regarding this arrangement shall be monitored for our continued political assessment. Translation: for our continued amusement. As chief archivist, I sent the official notification to the human planetary representatives. Their response was immediate and panicked. There must be some mistake. There wasn't. Humans were about to learn a valuable lesson about accepting gifts from alien monarchs. And we, the Galactic Council, had secured front-row seats to what promised to be the greatest diplomatic disaster since the Centurion sneezing incident of 2387. The cameras were ready. The betting pools were established. The human had no idea what was coming. Oh, this was going to be glorious. Perhaps I should explain how a mere human ended up entangled in Tauran politics. Gerald Matthews, cargo pilot, part-time xenobotanist, and full-time victim of cosmic misfortune, had been contracted to transport rare medicinal fungi from the outer colonies to the Plavos medical station. Just another delivery run, he told his friends at the spaceport bar on Earth. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, Gerald. Everything could go wrong. The human's cargo ship, the modestly named Earthbound Traveler, was approximately 3 paracs from its destination when sensors detected the Royal Tauran flagship under attack. Now, any sensible being would have maintained course and pretended not to notice. Tauran politics are messier than a Glorian mating ritual and twice as deadly. But humans have this bewildering concept called heroism, which appears to override their already questionable survival instincts. And Gerald Matthews, armed with nothing but a civilian cargo vessel and catastrophic optimism, changed course and flew directly into the firefight. The surveillance footage, now viewed over 2 billion times across galactic entertainment channels, showed his ridiculous little ship executing maneuvers that violated several laws of physics and common sense. "This is Captain Gerald Matthews of Earth vessel Earthbound Traveler," he transmitted. "I'm unarmed but offering assistance." Kevex, Vorex's security chief, later described the humans' arrival as confusingly helpful. The pirate vessels, equally confused by this unexpected development, hesitated just long enough for Gerald to position his ship between them and the royal vessel. Then came the moment that secured Gerald's place in galactic history and our ongoing amusement. He vented his entire cargo -17 containers of extremely rare, extremely expensive, and extremely hallucinogenic nebula mushrooms directly into the pirate's engine intakes. The resulting chaos cannot be adequately described, but involved pirates experiencing simultaneous hallucinations of their childhood predators while their navigation systems calculated routes to dimensions that don't exist. 3 pirate ships crashed into each other. One disappeared completely and reappeared 2 weeks later orbiting a gas giant, its crew convinced they were now decorative houseplants. King Vorex was saved. The footage of Gerald's subsequent invitation aboard the royal vessel showed the human sweating profusely as he was led before the massive Tauran monarch. "Your Majesty, I apologize for the unorthodox rescue," Gerald said, bowing awkwardly, "and for losing the medical shipment." King Vorex, 19 feet of armored reptilian royalty, gazed down at the human. "You have created a life debt, tiny creature." "Oh, that's really not necessary." "Silence," roared the king. "No being has ever saved Tauran royalty without receiving appropriate compensation. You shall be rewarded with my greatest burden, I mean treasure." The Council's intelligence reports later revealed that King Vorex had been searching for a solution to the Princess Lorna situation for years. His daughter had exhausted the patience of every royal tutor, diplomatic school, and military academy in 3 sectors. The princess was brilliant, stubborn, curious to a fault, and possessed the unique ability to reduce seasoned instructors to sobbing wrecks simply by asking, "Why?" 17 consecutive times. And now she was officially Gerald's problem. The human thought he was getting the medal. Instead, he got a teenager with royal attitude, diplomatic immunity, and a penchant for what humans call testing boundaries. We call it causing interplanetary incidents. The emergency session of the Earth's Interstellar Relations Committee was broadcast directly to the Galactic Council chambers. We'd arranged comfortable viewing platforms, refreshment drones, and betting pools on how long the human representatives would maintain their composure. "This must be a translation error," insisted Director Monica Blackwell, the human's chief diplomat, her face having turned an interesting shade that our xenobiologists confirmed indicated extreme stress. "King Vorex can't possibly be sending his daughter to live with a civilian cargo pilot." "I'd assure you," replied the Tauran ambassador, his massive scaled face filling the communication screen, "there is no error. The Princess Royal departs tomorrow. We have already forwarded the necessary diplomatic protocols, dietary requirements, and safety waivers." "Safety waivers?" Director Blackwell's voice raised approximately 2 octaves. "Standard procedure," the ambassador waved dismissively. "Nothing concerning, just the usual acknowledgments regarding spontaneous combustion, reality distortion, and emotional volatility." The council chambers erupted in fresh laughter. Representative Seed of the gaseous collective laughed so hard he temporarily changed color from mauve to neon green. Meanwhile, on a much smaller screen, we watched Gerald Matthews receive the news in his modest dwelling on Earth. The human sat at his kitchen table, surrounded by 15 tablets displaying Princess Lorna's file. With each swipe, his expression grew more horrified. "She set her last tutor on fire," he whispered, scrolling frantically. "How is that even possible? It says here he was a water-based life form." His communication device chimed. Gerald answered to find Director Blackwell's grim face. "Mr. Matthews, I'm afraid this is happening. The diplomatic implications of refusing are severe. But I'm not qualified. I'm a cargo pilot. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I kill cactuses. Cacti, corrected Director Blackwell automatically. See? I don't even know basic plurals. How am I supposed to raise a princess? In the council chambers, Ambassador Enrock of the Hive Consciousness was practically convulsing with delight. The human doesn't realize Tauran royalty are essentially indestructible until maturity. The princess could fall into his son and emerge merely annoyed. Chancellor Kick nodded, wiping tears from his compound eyes. And he hasn't reached the page about her collecting habits yet. Back on the screen, Gerald's face suddenly went pale. She collects what? Predatory species. Director Blackwell confirmed grimly. She currently has 97 specimens. The Taurans assure us they're all properly contained, she added. In what? Gerald's voice had achieved a pitch previously documented only in certain space whale mating calls. That information is pending, admitted Blackwell. Gerald buried his face in his hands. Why me? What did I do to deserve this? Chancellor Kick activated his communication channel to the human broadcast. Gerald's head snapped up as the massive alien face appeared on his screen. Human Gerald, the Chancellor said with mock solemnity, the Council wishes to extend our congratulations on your new diplomatic status. Can you help me? Gerald pleaded. There must be some way out of this. Oh, certainly not, Chancellor Kick replied, struggling to maintain his official tone. Tauran life debts are among our oldest and most respected cultural traditions. The Council fully supports this arrangement. After the connection ended, Gerald stared blankly at his wall. I should have let the pirates eat him, he muttered. Did he just commit verbal treason against a level 9 galactic power? Gasped Representative Qua. Add it to the list, I replied, updating the official record. Potential diplomatic incidents, 100 and counting. Princess arrival, T-minus 18 hours. The betting pool shifted heavily toward total catastrophe within 48 hours. I placed my own credits on the human surprising us all. Call it archivist's intuition. But something about Gerald's desperate expression reminded me of cornered prey that sometimes, against all odds, becomes the predator. Poor foolish human, poor unsuspecting galaxy. The Tauran royal shuttle descended upon Gerald Matthews' apartment complex with all the subtlety of a supernova. Neighbors poured into the streets, phones recording as the massive crystalline vessel, approximately the size of a small office building, hovered above the community pool, vaporizing the water instantly. They couldn't use the spaceport. Gerald shouted at Director Blackwell, who had wisely chosen to monitor the situation from a secure bunker 300 miles away. The princess insisted on direct delivery. Blackwell replied, her voice carefully neutral. Something about maximum impact. The Council's observation drones captured every delicious moment as the shuttle's main hatch opened. Emerged first were 7 royal guards, each standing 9 feet tall with ceremonial plasma spears. Then came 4 handmaidens, their scaled skin glittering with ceremonial oils. Finally, a small hovering platform descended. On it stood Princess Lorna. Now I must pause in my narration to explain that Tauran females bear little resemblance to their massive fathers. Princess Lorna stood barely 5 feet tall, with iridescent scales in patterns of teal and gold. Her head crest was elaborately decorated with precious metals that chimed softly with each movement. She appeared almost delicate, an impression immediately shattered when she opened her mouth. This is it. This is where I'm expected to live. Her voice carried the distinctive Tauran royal resonance, causing several nearby windows to crack. Where's the defense perimeter? The hunting grounds? The magma baths? Gerald approached cautiously, attempting the formal bow he'd frantically practiced all night. Your Highness, welcome to Earth. I'm Gerald Matthews, your, guardian. Princess Lorna tilted her head, examining him as one might study a particularly disappointing specimen. You're smaller than I expected. And you're more verbal. I speak 14 languages and can insult you perfectly in each one. She replied with a razor-toothed smile. Father said you saved his life with fungi. Are you a sorcerer? No, just lucky, or unlucky, depending on who you ask. The princess snapped her clawed fingers and her attendants immediately began unloading crates from the shuttle. The Council's monitoring equipment identified containment units for her infamous collection, atmospheric regulators, weapons that violated 17 Earth treaties, and what appeared to be a small fusion reactor. Those can't stay here. Gerald protested as a crate marked carnivorous, feed hourly, was positioned in his living room. I require proper accommodations for my rank, Princess Lorna stated flatly. This is a rented apartment. We have noise regulations, pet restrictions, The princess blinked her vertical eyelids slowly. What is pet restriction? It means no dangerous animals. Preposterous. All worthwhile animals are dangerous. The royal guards had begun constructing something in Gerald's second bedroom that appeared to involve lava rocks and ceremonial daggers. One handmaiden was replacing his refrigerator contents with writhing containers of something. Your Highness, Gerald tried again. On Earth, we have to follow certain rules. Rules are for those without power to break them, Princess Lorna interrupted, reciting what was clearly a Tauran proverb. She swept past him, her tail knocking over his prize firm. I require sustenance. Prepare food immediately. Gerald looked helplessly at the smoking remains of his kitchen appliances. I usually just order pizza. Pizza? The princess tested the word. Is it alive when served? No, and I'd strongly prefer if it stays that way. In the council chambers, we were placing new bets on how long before the human's dwelling was completely destroyed. Ambassador JX was practically bouncing with excitement. Oh, she hasn't even started yet. Wait until she begins her morning combat rituals. 2 weeks into the Princess Lorna experiment, as it was now officially classified in council records, something unexpected happened. The galactic betting pools had heavily favored complete mental breakdown of human guardian, or destruction of local habitat. No one, absolutely no one, had wagered on functional cohabitation. Yet here we were, observing what could only be described as adaptation. You're saying these plants communicate? Princess Lorna crouched beside Gerald in what remained of the apartment complex's communal garden. Their royal attendants stood awkwardly to the side, clearly baffled by their princess willingly touching dirt. Not like we do, Gerald explained gently, exposing the roots of a tomato plant. But they send chemical signals to warn each other about threats, share resources through fungal networks underground. It's a different kind of language. The princess's head crest vibrated with interest, a Tauran sign of genuine fascination that had the council observers murmuring in shock. On Taurus Prime, we have carnivorous forests that scream when harvested, she offered. Father says it makes hunting more sporting. That's terrifying, Gerald replied, but he was smiling. I'd love to study them sometime. From a safe distance. Very safe. Chancellor Kick summoned me to his private viewing chamber, his expression troubled. Archivist Vex, what am I seeing here? Is the human employing some form of mind control? Negative, Chancellor. Our scans detect no unusual mental activity. Then why isn't she setting things on fire? It's been 3 days since the last explosion. The answer became clearer the following day when our surveillance captured Princess Lorna seated before Gerald's primitive viewing screen, watching human entertainment programs with absolute concentration. So the small human child defeats the intruders through elaborate traps rather than consuming them? She asked, munching on something called popcorn with her sharp teeth. It's a comedy, Gerald explained, looking far more relaxed than we'd seen him yet. Not meant to be realistic. On Taurus Prime, this would be categorized as an instructional video for younglings, she noted, though we would add more impalement, of course. You would, Gerald laughed, and most shockingly, the princess joined him, her rumbling Tauran laughter harmonizing with his human chuckle. Even more surprising developments followed. The princess began dismissing her attendants during what she termed Earth education periods. Gerald's security clearance was mysteriously upgraded, giving him access to Tauran biological data previously restricted from humans. The pair was observed examining the princess's collection together, with Gerald asking detailed questions about each species' habitat requirements. Your preservation effort is impressive, he told her one evening, carefully helping feed a 6-legged creature with alarming teeth. Some of these species were thought extinct. Father called it an unhealthy obsession with lesser life forms. Princess Lorna replied, her head crest momentarily drooping.